All right, in this video tutorial, we're going to make a typography poster similar to what you're seeing here. We'll use the font type Helvetica Condensed Bold, and we'll just spell out a Waihi Storm for this practice. After we get done with this practice, then you'll create something yourself. In order to get this set up, we have to set up a balanced artboard using grid lines, and we'll do that. We'll create a document together. This is just the end goal of what we're going to be looking at here. So if I go to File, New, I'm going to create something that is, let's just call this typography poster, and let's make these millimeters just so it's easy. So let's do millimeters. Let's do 500 by 700 millimeters, and this is CMYK 300 PPI. Hit OK, and you should end up with a poster size that's fairly large. This is fairly big. And a couple things that we're going to do right away is hit Command R to set up our ruler. And when I hit V in this gray area right here, you'll notice in my properties panel I have options to turn on and off the grids, to lock the grids, and then also to turn on smart guides. I want to make sure that smart guides are on, and I want to have my grids lines be unlocked right now. Because we're going to be dragging them out just like this, and you can select them and move them around, so sometimes it's important to lock them. So I'm going to select it and delete it to get rid of it for right now. So with our smart guide on right here, I'm going to hit M for my rectangle tool, and I'll actually go ahead and set this up before I draw it. I'm going to go ahead and select black for my fill color, and then I have no stroke whatsoever. So now I'm going to hit M for my rectangle tool, and with my smart guide on, I can find the intersect corner there, drag that out, and then find it there. Perfect. And what we're going to do, and I'll explain this later in class, but we're going to set up something that is known as the golden ratio. And the golden ratio is how we're going to find that. I'm not going to get too wordy in it right now, okay? We'll learn more about that in class, but it's an aesthetically pleasing composition. So sometimes it's placing things in the center, sometimes it's placing things off to the left or right a little bit. So that's what we're going to do. In order to do that, we're going to focus on the width and the height of our rectangle right here. So just after the 500, I'm going to divide this by 1.618. So divide by 1.618, and then hit enter. And I actually want to make sure that this is turned off, so they're not linked. So now let's do that again. Divide by 1.618, hit enter, there we go. And now what I'm going to do is line this up to the left side, and I'm going to drag out a guideline right where that edge is. And since I have my smart guide on, it's going to kind of snap to that. And when you don't want it to snap, that's when you just turn it off. I'll move it over to the right side, and now I'll drag this over to that edge right there. So now we have a kind of an area on the left side of our composition and our right, and we're going to use this to help organize our composition. So you can see how I'm using that to organize my composition for this poster. We're going to drag this out. I'm hoping it's going to help me find center, which it's not. So let's go ahead and use this and drag this. This should find center for me right there. You can barely see it right in the center. It's highlighted in purple with the smart guide, and I accidentally moved it a little bit. Okay, there it is. And then now I'm going to drag out a grid line right here, and then I'll make this back to its size again. Okay, you got to be careful when you're lining these things up that they match, and so sometimes you got to zoom in just to make sure that that's where they are at. So now we can go ahead and do that to the top, the height rather. So let's take that and let's divide this by 1.618, and now we can use this to do the same thing vertically. Line that up, come down to here, line that up, and do the same thing to find the center. it is. Drag it down. And voila. Okay, and go ahead and put that back up. All right, so now what we're going to do is put a border around it so you can see kind of a frame. So you can see how this frame is developed here. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to now, so this area right here, we've defined as the golden ratio. And so we're going to take the width of this golden ratio right here. And a lot of times you can organize this in different ways. You can put stuff in the golden ratio. You can put it on the line. Sometimes the people consider the line as the golden ratio. So we could center this to that line. This one right here, I guess that would be centered. So that's centered to it. Like I said, or you can place things inside there. You can then also, place things on this intersecting point between these two. See how that's intersecting right there? So those are just friendly places to place your objects. So we're going to use the width of this golden ratio. I'm going to zoom in to make sure that I'm on it. And it looks like just a little bit too thick. There we go. Okay, and then you can see that I'm even outside here. There we go. Hopefully I didn't make that mistake anywhere else. And we're going to use this to divide the width here. So we're going to take that large number and just hit divide and go 1.618. Hit enter. And then now we'll drag it up to this right side right here and pull out a border here. Take this over to here and double check that I'm lined up on that. I am. Line that up there. And then now I'll just quickly rotate this. I'll hit R and then move this around. I can hold shift to do this, make sure it's perfectly horizontal. And then now, oh, I already messed up. Now that we have the width here, I can just steal it. I don't have to do any math or anything. Bam. Now we'll rotate. Hold shift and move this down to here. Drag out your line and do this to the top. And there you go. All right, so now we have a nice frame. I can just delete that. We have a nice frame for this to work. I'm going to lock these so they don't get moved around, and don't forget you can use this to hide them. And then this one to keep your smart guides on and off. Command U is also a way to turn those on and off, the smart guides. All right, so we do need those. So let's reveal them. And at this point, you need to have this done before your next lesson.